welcome back.
Happy New Year.
Yes.
Here we are, survive 2020.
So yes, we're coming together today to talk about the Christmas edition and the New Year's edition of the Great British Sewing Bee, which they put together, which I thought was great. We all needed something fun over Christmas, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes, and it's always good to see celebrities floundering.
So we'll talk briefly about the Christmas edition first, and then we'll go into the New Year's edition. So the Christmas edition, the celebrities were Shirley Ballas, Sarah Pascoe, Dr. Range, and Denise Van Outen. You know them?
Obviously.
Yes, obviously.
Well, I'm not too sure on Sarah, so someone enlighten me about Sarah.
Then we go for coffee regularly. We just
Yeah, Sarah's a comedian, and she's been on lots of different bits and pieces and so on. And she's just got a new series, I think. I don't know if it's a BBC Two or Channel 4, where it's Last Woman Standing, where she's learning all these skills if the apocalypse comes.
Right.
Seems appropriate. Yeah.
So when you see that, as a lineup, we think actually we should be quite entertained then with a bit of comedy with Dr. Range and obviously Denise as well.
Yeah, I think I didn't know what to expect because we haven't had a celebrity one before, and I didn't know if these were going to be celebrities who'd basically gone, "Yep, I know what I'm doing." But then it was implied that they'd all had to have a lesson on how to use a sewing machine. So you just knew that there was going to be a train wreck of a show, really, because if you don't really know what you're doing, you are going to struggle.
Yeah.
But I suppose
it was quite fun. I was going to say it was all very light-hearted. Like even the way the judges were judging, it was all like seeing people help out and things. It was quite good.
Okay, so let's go straight into it. So for the first, for the Christmas edition, the first round of the pattern challenge was to make pyjama bottoms. Nice and easy.
Yeah, and everybody needs snuggly pyjama bottoms during winter, right?
Well, you say it was nice and easy. I mean, it should have been. It should have been. There was a couple of people who were not doing what they were supposed to be doing. But the other thing as well is they made it with cotton, which I thought, that's actually not going to have a lot of give. That actually wouldn't be very comfortable. I thought they were going to make them use jersey, and of course that would have been an absolute train wreck.
Yeah, jersey would have been so much worse. I know because I made my trousers out of jersey, and I was cursing the jersey by the end. I was like, I'm just going to throw it all in the bin because it rolls and moves, and it's
which is probably why they didn't choose it. But then equally, I felt that the cotton. You've got to be really careful, especially with something like on your legs and that, and with pajamas, because if there's no give in them, there's potential if you actually wore them, they would go at the seams. When you're sat lounging around with your legs tucked under or whatever. Yeah. So if you're thinking of doing that, maybe go a next size up or something.
Yeah, that's what I do. If I buy jammies, I tend to size up in them, or if they're jersey, it's fine. But cotton, size up to make them comfy.
Yeah.
What about their fabric choices? Because they varied from novelty, didn't they, to actually quite classy.
Well, I think that was the good thing with the cotton, because you get a lot more in cotton, patterns, especially they chose some Christmas patterns as well. You're not going to get that in jersey anyway.
No, Denise and her sprouts. If in doubt, go with the
sprouts.
They argued over that, didn't they?
I was going to say, the only ones I can think of that were classy were Dr. Range with his...
It was kind of like...
It chose a very small, mistletoe pattern in gold, wasn't it?
I like that we all had to do the hand action to describe it.
Tiny.
Kind of.
There were a few sewing issues, I think.
A few.
With the patterns and sewing bits together, I think. Didn't Sarah sew a wrong bit together?
Well, there was a couple of them, and I think Denise was one of them. They sewed the two front panels together, and then the two back panels, and then sewed down the side, which is not how you make trousers. That's not how you make trousers, people. It's not how you do it, because you just won't get a nice seam on the crotch.
Yeah.
What you're supposed to do is to make one leg and then the other, and then you put the leg inside and sew up the crotch that way, and then you get a much better seam. And that was the instruction. And I think we saw someone do it, but there was at least 2 people who held up like the front of the trans going, oh, I've done the front. And I'm like, oh my God, you're not going to get that to me underneath. And if you do, it's going to be very bulky.
Nobody needs a bulky crotch, let's be real.
No. The last thing you need is a lot of material under there.
Yes, exactly.
And I think Shirley, Sarah was the one that had these issues with that. So on the final standings, we had Sarah 4th, Dr. Ranj 3rd, Shirley 2nd, and Denise 1st.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I did like that Sarah decided to add that pocket and stick a thing in it, and
it was not a pocket. That was not a pocket. It was literally a piece of material slabbed onto the front. You could see the jagged edge all the way around. And I thought she'd sewn the 2 legs shut. I thought she'd done it so. It would have been surprising.
I was like, oh well, you know, if you're going to do it, you may as well just go for it.
Yeah, and there were a couple of funny bits in between there, I think, with Shirley and Joe doing some dancey bits, wasn't there, as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, let's go on to the next challenge then, which was the transformation challenge, which I think we all sort of went, what?
No, well, to be fair, you both were like, what? And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I have lots of dog walker friends. So
No. My issue with the challenge is it was not a transformation challenge. It was, here's a dog coat, make it look Christmassy. Yeah. And
yes, but that complete noobs, like, come on. Which
I kind of then was like, okay, I'll go with it. But then when you saw what the others had to do on the second show, that was a proper transformation challenge. Yes. And it was just like, the other one, we gave you a dog coat, just stick a load of stuff on it. And I didn't...
Maybe they were judged, maybe it's like a sliding scale. They got this crowd in and we're like, we'll just give them something they have to stick things on. And maybe that's what happened. So we don't know.
Yeah, their sewing skill. They were so worried about their sewing skills. I mean, Sarah literally just did, didn't she? She just stuck, she knit some random basket.
Yes.
From the set and made a sleigh dog. Yeah.
Which the concept was fine, but you know, none of them had to make the basic dog coat. It was provided for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in that case it was the best idea. So we had Shirley then with the mask on the dog and a dog coming out the butt.
Shirley just kept going. It was just like, if it's there, I'm going to put it on it. It was, you know, if you'd have given her another hour, it would have been this dog that had things piled all the way up it. She would have just kept going until you said stop, I think.
Dr. Ranj was going for an angel, wasn't he? The design there.
Yeah, there was some theme, I suppose.
Yeah, it was kind of cute.
And then Denise with her super dog, which I thought actually worked really well.
Yeah, so did I. I think I liked hers the most because it was entirely ridiculous, let's be real, but it was quite fun.
But as you say, yes, I think for an actual challenge, for a Christmas show, maybe they could have, when you see what they did in the New Year show, maybe the challenge. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we had it in the actual series, didn't we, this year, where they had... was it a tablecloth from Greece or something like that? So why couldn't we have just had a Christmas tablecloth? And because they would have made a right hash of that as well if you'd have said, turn that into something, you know.
Yeah, the tablecloth would have still looked like a tablecloth at the end. Rather than...
I would have made a tablecloth.
Maybe they attached the mats or something, you know, but I don't think much would have happened with the tablecloth.
Well, it was only right then for Shirley to win that, considering how much she'd stuck on her dog.
She was most efficient with the glue gun.
Sarah came second, and then Denise third, and Dr. Ranj fourth.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. The ones with the better glue gun clearly worked. Yeah. So into the made to measure round. No, I didn't get an idea whether they had time to practice or do this at home, prepare. They did seem better at this.
Yeah, I don't know because I was drunk, but there was... By the time that had come on, I'd think I'd had half a bottle of Bailey's. So, but I think they came with all their pattern pieces, or they were allowed to bring some stuff in. There was certainly some sort of...
Yeah, they had the pattern pieces already cut out, ready to go. So they probably had some help with that, possibly.
Well...
Well, like everything was nicely cut out, so they clearly had time to cut it out, and were probably, because you have to cut in certain ways depending on the pattern pieces and stuff. So I'm assuming they would have had help with all of that.
And cutting those pieces takes so long. I mean, I know even just from a little kid's pattern, you're spending a good couple of hours cutting those pieces out. Yeah. You've got to really concentrate. So I
highly doubt that you would have practiced very much, considering like some of them were like, "This is not the best material for a beginner. What are you doing?" So.
Yeah.
So they had to make a Christmas Day dress.
Yes.
I mean, I'm still, with all 4 of them, I still don't understand how you can mess up the sizing on a wraparound dress. Because the whole point of a wraparound dress is that you wrap it around and tie it so it fits. And yet there was 4 dresses there that had so many problems with them. And don't forget, this was the challenge. This was the first show in the history of the Sewing Bee where they gave them extra time.
Yeah, they're like, we're giving you 15 extra minutes.
We're giving you 15 extra minutes. So, that's how bad they were as sewers. And yeah, it was entertaining and everything like that. But I still don't understand how you can mess up a wraparound dress on a sizing thing.
I think that the attaching of the seams, something must have gone amiss. Like, everything was on the wonk or something, and it didn't quite match up. But talking of not fitting, should we start with like Dr. Ranj and the need for a modesty skirt underneath that dress, please?
The poor model, I think, spent more time trying to pull it down than she did walking the catwalk.
I like the fact that she walked like this up the. I was like, oh God, love you, pet.
The fabric was lovely though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
It was a nice idea, but like only for the fact that Patrick went round, was like, you need to open it here and add in an extra panel to make it fit.
This is
and even then it was a tight squeeze.
Yeah, because when you saw the size of the panel that went in, it wasn't a couple of inches. No. It was a panel like that. So what there?
No idea. But even then, like as you say, a massive panel went in, and it was still, she had to really wiggle to get into that. It was like, oh my God.
What about Shirley and the red sort of evening dress?
I thought that wasn't half bad at all. I think she did not a bad job for her first ever dress.
Yeah, but then hers went the other way because I felt that was then too baggy. I mean, it wasn't overly baggy, but the others were struggling to fit in other places, whereas that, it wasn't fitted. It seemed like there could have been a bit more taken out.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't understand how you've managed that.
Yeah. But again, and hers didn't meet at the top either. So clearly there was adjustment issues and.
Yeah.
And then you had Sarah's lovely tartan.
I like the look of that dress. I thought that was quite fun. That'd be something I could kind of wear myself, but.
And it was supposed to be like your Christmas Day dress, so you knew that it was supposed to be comfortable, but also just have that little bit, and I think the tartan added to that.
Yeah.
Did you think there was a difference in her overall attitude for this task compared to the day before? She just seemed completely different.
I think it was typical of like most of us when we start sewing, is that she'd never done it before. That first day she'd found her feet, and then sort of came back and thought, yeah, okay, if I concentrate, I might actually be able to pull this off.
Yeah.
So she was telling lots of jokes and the comedian in the previous 2 challenges, and then suddenly this last one got a bit serious. I want to win.
But that's everybody, I think. Once you sort of get the between your teeth, like, I'm going to do the thing. So.
And then Denise with her Christmas pud dress.
Yes.
The brown.
I was going to say that's another one that I think this sort of like it could do with a bit of taking in, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had kind of had 2 that were a bit too small, and we had 2 that were a little bit too big.
Yeah. But something that catches me is like obviously with the use of Velcro instead of zips. And
that annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah. Yeah, I did not appreciate that. I was like, oh.
I know this,
or not just clever, just to save ease and time.
Obviously it was because obviously, like we said, they had no experience in any of this.
No, and it is a celebrity one, and it is entertainment. It's not a competition like the Sewing Bee where it goes on and on and on. But any other show, and they would have ripped the hell out of them for putting in a Velcro fastening. Even a button. you could have used a buttonhole at the top and, you know, put a couple of buttons on would be better than Velcro.
Yeah. But yeah, it was definitely that for me, oh, I didn't like it at all.
And it did exactly what they said, is that because it didn't fit over properly, it then pulled in places and it was, you know, wiggling down the back because of that's what happens with Velcro.
Yeah.
So coming to the end, because we obviously knew they were then going to end it and finish it off with the trophy, we had Shirley first in the transformation challenge and Denise first in the pajama bottoms. We kind of then felt it was going to be between either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yep. Not much more to say on that. Yes, we did.
Agree.
Thought it was one or the other.
And then they obviously gave it to Denise, so all happy.
Yeah.
And
her dress from the front was quite effective, so. An
extra bit of production values going in there to the show for an hour show, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was lots of fun. Like we had Esme. Was it during that one that Esme helped?
Yeah. It was Shirley, wasn't it? Because it was with the red dress. You ended up sewing it for her, didn't she?
Yeah, I'm going to have to look back on the footage there because I think the editing was wrong, because I thought they were helping her out on the overlocker and then they cut back and it was on the sewing machine.
Esme helped her on the overlocker. And that, you know, that's when they were judging it and Esme made some comment about how, or Patrick made some comment about how good a certain scene was or whatever, and Esme just gave that wry grin.
Yeah.
It was nice they were getting involved and they weren't taking it too seriously and they were taking the mick out of themselves. And then we had lots of cutaways. That's
what it was for. You know, the sewing bee as normal is people who are supposedly knowing what they're doing, so therefore they're there to be judged, where these were for people who'd gone, you know, let's just have a go at this. We've never done it before.
Yeah.
It's fun. And therefore the judges, you know, they don't have to be as meticulous as they normally are, which is great to see.
This was Joe and everyone in between. They were a bit more fun, weren't they? Quite a few more of them.
I think all of them were sort of the opinion that it's something they kind of wanted to try and learn to do. So they're like, well, may as well try it and have experts there to ask questions of. So.
And I think it would, you know, like, it would have been different if this was proper sewing bee celebrity. If you felt that these were celebrities who'd signed up for 5 weeks, then you would judge them properly, because it then is a competition that just happens to have celebrities in. But these were just one-offs, and so it was just nice to see people having a go at it and getting it all wrong, like we all do the first time we start doing things.
Yeah.
And more importantly, and more importantly, as you say, entertainment. After the year we've had, we just want a bit of fun, don't we? Giggle.
Yeah.
So let's move on to then the New Year's Eve edition. So we greeted with a lineup of Leslie Joseph, Sabrina Grant, The Vivian, and Sally Phillips. I was excited by this lineup.
Yeah. The only one I didn't know out of that was the Sabrina Grant.
Yeah, I still don't really know who she is.
She's this celebrity stylist I've not heard of, but it was really good. I think we all preferred this episode than the previous episode.
Yeah, I think within minutes it had a different feel. The jokes, the cutaways between Joe and the judges, it just seemed to flow. It just seemed to fit.
I think that's unfair in that respect. I think the first show was let down by the tasks. I think when you compare the 3 tasks, they were very different tasks. Like the transformation challenge was a proper transformation challenge. And the pattern cutting for the skirt, okay, that was relatively straightforward, like the pajama bottoms was. That was fine. But then, you know, this one, they had to make a full-length evening gown. And again, that's more difficult than that wraparound, because the wraparounds, like I said before, should have been easy to fit. These ones actually had to skim the body and be fitted properly. And I felt the challenge was there more. And yet, when they said, have you done any sewing? They're all sat there going, no. You know, the Vivian had said she'd run up a few things, but Leslie Joseph had done nothing.
No.
And, you know, I didn't feel that skill level was necessarily any better or worse, but the challenges just seemed to be a bit more on point.
But there was better banter between them though as well. Like the contestants themselves seem to have a bit of better banter as well, which I think makes the difference. You know, when
Yeah.
it gets on better together.
I mean, that first challenge, we'll go straight into that first challenge because I thought that was fun. It was the children's party skirt, which, as I say, is now live pattern on the Great British Sewing Bee website. They just had to make that. And it seemed to be something you could easily get your teeth into. It was the 2 layers of netting, the lining and the band. That was it.
Yeah, you said that was it.
Yeah.
You tried gathering the top of a netting to make it small enough to fit.
Yeah, it was gathering, it was stretching elastic, and that's where I felt that they had a lot more to do. I mean, the pajama bottoms, they still got them to use the overlocker, so it was like both programs you got to use the overlocker, but you know, this one they had to use the overlocker on the skirt to hem it, and they had to gather in, and they had to cut out more pieces. And stretch the elastic to fit the band, whereas the other one was a drawstring. So that's where I felt that they perhaps got that camaraderie, because I don't think any of them had ever done anything like that before.
I felt so bad for the Vivian whenever they cut out their netting, and they basically tried to cut out everything all in one go, and it's like, oh no, did that wrong completely.
Was that a classic case of where you should read the whole pattern instructions first, rather?
Yes, it is, Mr. Race.
Rather just reading point 1 and then doing it and then reading.
Yes.
But the colours that the Vivian had chosen was great, weren't they?
I think they all chose brilliant colours, because they all, you know, the one I can't remember whose it was now, who chose the 2 different colours of net. When they were put down on top of each other, they just shimmered. You know, so I think good choices.
Yeah. I think, yeah, as you said, I think they all worked really well. And like the white one was lovely and classic kind of looking. And that was quite funny because that was Sally Phillips, wasn't it? And she was like, never been classy in my life. I'm going to do it like this.
And then she went and messed it up with the waistband because she didn't read the instructions.
Yeah.
Yes, she tried to get away with that in the judging. Said, well, I wanted it like this, but you reckon she just did it the other way around.
Because if you had practically then put that on someone to wear, on a small child to wear, what she'd done is she'd sewn it inside and then folded the elastic up. Well, what would have happened over time is that would have just pinged back down and the raw edge would have popped out because of the way it was sewn, if you tried to actually wear it and move around in it. And that's why it had to be top sewn, so that the raw edge stayed behind the band. So she may have tried to blag her way out of it, but if someone had worn it, over time it would have just pinged itself up, and then you'd have had all your raw edges exposed.
It did look nicer, I think, with the big band as well.
Yeah, that was part of the design. Yeah, it
was quite sweet. And it was because, was it Leslie that managed to basically cover with a bit of stuff over the top? That was quite good.
So we had the Vivian coming first, Leslie second, Sally third, and Sabrina fourth on that one.
Yeah. But the Vivian's was fabulous with that gold and black and the extra bubbles.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the holly and the balls. Nice place. Then we go to the transformation scheme. And I think we all, as soon as it came up, we just thought, what a great one. Perfect. Though it would have been perfect for Christmas. But yes, they had a selection of clothes which they had to transform into a panto character.
And they could use as much as they want, because like normally in the show it's like, oh, you've got 2 shirts or you've got a puffer jacket or whatever, whereas this, it was, you can use whatever you like, and that was brilliant as well, because they were just like grabbing everything.
Yeah. And this is where it was obvious those that had sewn, because like the Vivian's was, you could see the top was all nicely sewn and put together properly, and then you went to the winner. I thought Sally's was amazing, but like, I know. That was amazing. So clever, but minimal sewing, lots of gluing.
Yeah, I did feel a bit, because I think they were just knocked away by the fact that she'd done it and then mounted it onto an ironing board.
Yeah.
I think they were more knocked away by that, when in reality, the front was still just a onesie. She didn't do anything to that. No. And then she made a tube and there was a pair of trousers on the top. Whereas the Vivian, who I thought was going to take it there, she just cut that, because it was a ragged edge, it was Cinderella, but then she'd made that waistband over the skirt with all the different lengths of ribbons. Yeah, and I thought that was going to be enough for that to do, because although the horse looked impressive, if you were to say, okay, what have you actually done? No disrespect to Sally Phillips, but it was a lot of glue and just 3 bits of garment.
Yeah.
Well, it was a bit like Leslie's in the Christmas one, wasn't it? Chucking on as much. Sarah's chucking on as much as you can.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, well, this is it. I thought it was quite.
And then Sabrina's Jasmine.
Okay, that was a bit. That wasn't, you know.
Well, it started off as an Aladdin, didn't it? And it then had to switch to a Jasmine.
But all she did was, not all she did, but she basically sewed up the middle of the skirt so it would turn into balloon pants and cut the elastic off the top. So she basically just split a dress in half.
Yeah.
But it kind of worked still. I mean, you've only got 90 minutes, so...
To be fair, and I laughed whenever Leslie did her one, she was an ugly sister. It just made me, even like Simon, who's in the background, you may have heard Coffee, he mentioned, he was like, it just looks like her character from Birds of a Feather.
Yeah, and when I think of all the pantomimes that we've done with the kids at school and the amount of costumes we've made out of nothing as well, it's just like, you know, it is possible to make something in 90 minutes when there's a show on the horizon.
Yeah.
But it was just a good challenge, wasn't it? It was fun. It was everything, you know, making and creating and enough to be as diverse as they wanted to be. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good fun. And it was something very festive and a bit different, which was perfect.
So Sally won with the horse, Vivian second, Sabrina third, and Leslie fourth with that. So we go to the made to measure. New Year's party dress they had to make.
Yes.
But with a little tweak of it had to be inspired by a memory that they'd had.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you put that into a design? A memory you've had.
You have a dress that makes you think of a certain memory that you'd wear, Stuart.
I've got one.
Well, I think you've always got I think everybody has a certain outfit from a good New Year's. There's bound to have been one good New Year's in your lifetime that you'd not relive, but you remember.
Well, and that's where I think
our outfit would be very different to yours.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
And I think this is where perhaps Sally had got it because of her idea. And I know she's a comedian from that point of view, or in lots of comedy programs. She pitched it at the right level for us as an audience, almost taking the mick out of herself as well.
Yeah, with her dog poop bags and everything. Her dress was fab, though. I thought it was really good fun. I really liked it.
The memory idea of was it a party? Did she say being dumped?
No, I don't remember that.
Like that. Being dumped, she was was she hungover? And she slept on the sofa, and the dog was there all night or something.
Oh yeah.
Which is where the dog came in with the fabric.
Yeah. But it was really good fun. I love the fact as well. She was like, Esme loves a bow. I want a bow the size of Esme's head.
Yeah.
But her dress worked really well as you say, good memory. And it was a nice dress as well, I thought.
They were all good dresses, actually.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Then we went into the Vivian's dress. What do you think about that?
That was fab.
I honestly thought she was going to win overall because she drafted that pattern and then on the day added the fishtail. Okay, she didn't put the zip in, but she didn't need the zip because there was enough stretch in the material. So the fact that she'd done all of that herself, I thought that was enough to give her a fighting chance, actually. I thought it was really good. I thought it was nice that it was just that one colour, and that's what it was. Sometimes the simplicity is just as good as all the accessories and everything else that go with it.
Yeah. And it was
so good.
Especially because it fit. At the end of the day, it skimmed her body perfectly.
Yeah, it fit really, really well as well, I thought.
She knew, did she know from the beginning she wasn't going to use a zip?
No, she said she was going to, yeah.
Oh. But then didn't need it in the end, did she?
No, because of the stretch.
That let that dress down was the line underneath was halfway up the boob and under the boob.
She hadn't got it under the boob, had she?
Yeah.
Doing me Les Dawson there.
Was that noticeable to, the common person? I didn't notice. Was it noticeable to everyone?
Yes.
Oh, right.
Well, I would because,
there was no support there as a result.
The line's in entirely the wrong place. So it was
such a shame because she spent such a long time pinning that bust area, I thought, oh, she's obviously got that right. And then, yeah, as soon as the model got it on, there was a little bit of an issue with that. But that's where it just needed to drop down a bit. I think she'd probably got the right shape, but somehow it had been pulled up.
Yeah. Yeah, there was an extra inch on the strap, and it'll allow it to sit in the right place, which would have just finished it off perfectly.
And then what about Sabrina's lovely sort of little, with the open back and the side slit, that sort of sleek velvet?
Yeah. That was fab. That was one where she was like, is this the right material for a beginner? They were like, no. Stretch velvet is not the one to work with. But I thought it actually turned out surprisingly well. Like the edges were all a bit ruffly and a wee bit.
Yeah.
But it looked, from a distance, it looked fab.
They all look good from a distance.
Yeah, well, yeah, but,
And what about Leslie's pink sort of netting blancmange?
I think she did really well with that.
Yeah.
I think it just needed probably another 2 or 3 layers of net, because it was a little bit too see-through, because she's got that petticoat underneath. And I think if there was just another couple more layers, it would have come out a bit more like you would expect with a Cinderella dress, and it would have just added a bit more density there.
Yeah.
But that bodice, as with those curved seams.
Oh God, yeah, I wouldn't want to sew a curved seam.
She did really well. I was so surprised.
It was the same. It was the same as the first show. That first day had given them the confidence to come in and go, yeah, actually, let's have a crack on with this dress with curved seams, with velvet, with all the pinning. I think, if you'd have gone in and said, let's do this one first, it would have been a very different show.
Yeah. There would have been a lot of tantrums and lying in the corner crying, I think.
I think they were blown away with the response from the judges too. Like when they were saying, well done, this is a great bit of sewing. You could generally see it on their face. They were, certainly Leslie, she was really pleased. So we had the Vivian first in the pattern challenge, and Sally first in the transformation. It was going to be, I think, as we were WhatsApping, it was, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Yeah.
I was quite surprised. Like whenever Sally did get it, because Sally got it, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
I was a wee bit surprised, but also it was good. I was still thinking the Vivian was going to have it, and it was good fun.
And then that end sequence, as you rightly point out, I think we were just giggling, laughing, going, "This is good telly."
Yeah.
Yes.
It was really good fun, especially because, as we know and love them to be, relatively serious and giving very stern advice and criticism. I thought it was really good fun for them to take the mick out of themselves at the end.
They are quite good though, because they don't take themselves too seriously, even in they are when they're talking with the contestants in the real show. But I think Jo being there with those two has really lightened the mood with them too as well. And Esme is just brilliant anyway. So
yeah, she's I would say that lady has got some stories. I would love to hear them.
There's a book you want to read, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Did she look good in one of the episodes when she had the she looked good in all of them, but the crochet jacket? Did you see the crochet jacket that she was wearing, the granny squares?
Yeah, that was in the first episode, wasn't it? I think it was done with that sparkly wool as well, wasn't it? It seemed to have a shimmer to it.
And then Patrick in his kilt.
Oh, I know. That was you, Happy Stuart.
Yeah. But so good fun, good 2 programs, over the festive period when we needed it most, when we're all at home, weren't we? Well, it's been lovely to have you all back again. Isn't it nice?
Yeah, it's nice to see you all again.
Yeah,
not the new year off. And hopefully we'll be back together again soon at some point. But in the meantime, you'll be able to watch us here. I'm sure we'll appearing more. Right, well, take care, everyone. All the best for a great new year.
Sorry, I have to make space for Banana. She likes to sit on this chair.
Well, that's good. She's obviously said, right, you've been on there too long. Get off. I want this.
She just walked behind me and jumped off. It's time for me to move.
Yeah. All right. Well, and we'll see you all again soon then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.